Clay Mansell is here. Oh, let me turn you on here. And we also got Representatives Jonathan McMillan. Okay, so we got a little bit of time here. You guys passed your version of tax reform yesterday. That's kind of the big thing we're talking about today. It looks like that all Republicans supported it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me turn it down a little bit. So we got all Republicans supported.
Well, I mean, if you really want to be, we passed our version of tax reform, what, the second or third day?
HB1. HB1.
So that's been 3 months ago.
Yeah. So we were just discussing the difference between the House and Senate's version. Are you, first for you, Clay, are you comfortable with this legislation?
Yes, sir.
You voted for it, obviously. So
we did. We actually voted again today because it was held on a motion yesterday, so we got to reaffirm our vote today.
Okay. And what about you, Representative McMillan?
Absolutely. We've been on board since day one. I think, obviously the time that we passed HB1 to now, I think there's been some tweaks, and that's the way the process works. I mean, you get everybody's input in, and I think it makes the legislation stronger.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And we got still planning to send PERS $100 million of lottery proceeds in this version as well, right?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, that's still in there. But you guys haven't really talked about, or I've not seen any legislation that would create this new tier, Tier 5. That's what Senator Sparks, he introduced over there in the Senate, just to kind of stop the bleeding. All new employees would be members of that program. Do you think that's something, Jonathan, we ought to consider taking up?
I mean, at some point, we're going to have to, the whole system needs to be, obviously reevaluated. We can't just keep on infusing money into it. I don't know if that's the right approach. So I think, maybe looking at a Tier 5, but doing it the right way. I think we've really got to talk and see exactly what that looks like and bring everybody to a table to come up with that. So, yeah.
Clay, mobile sports betting, the second year in a row we attempted to get that through the Senate, and it failed, but it passed the House. How do you stand on that?
I voted for mobile sports betting, and I think we need it. It's obviously going on in the state right now, so we're losing those tax dollars to the illegal gambling sites.
People are still betting, doing mobile sports betting. It's just that we're not getting the revenue from it.
That's correct.
What do you think, Jonathan? There's this delta that's becoming a chasm between the Senate and the House on so many issues, whether it's tax reform or mobile sports betting or education choice is another polarizing issue. No matter where you stand on that, there's a pretty good gap between where the House and the Senate stands on these matters.
I'll say this. You look at, I really try to look at the intent of each piece of legislation that comes about, and I think everybody has their own what they want to do, what they want to push. I don't think anybody necessarily is saying that, they're just trying to do things to harm or hurt Mississippi, but it is a process. Whenever you have 120 right now members of the House and you got your members of the Senate, getting everybody on the same page, that's why we go down there every day.
Yeah.
But there again, I think some things should be a little more common sense, and it shouldn't be this difficult on some issues.
Yeah.
To get some consensus.
Certificate of need legislation as well, at least some partial repeal, that seems to always make its way through the House and then doesn't go anywhere in the Senate, Clay.
Yeah, well, we had several hearings on that this summer as well. So we did the research. We found what areas of certificate of need they hurt the state. They're hurting the healthcare outcomes. So I'm glad we're looking at that. But, also through this process on each issue you just raised, we're seeing sides come together. And I think that's how the process should work. At one point the Senate was against income tax elimination, and now they're at the table. So, the process has worked for many years. I hope it'll work correctly and best outcomes for Mississippi this year as well.
Maybe we'll get some.
Well, and then at the end of the day, people got to understand, Mississippi's changing. Mississippi has changed from the dynamics of what our business system to where we were 20, 30 years ago. So obviously we have to change. We have to change some antiquated systems in our government. So
we got to go. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on. I also want to get this in. Both of you guys represent Madison County, and we appreciate you representing.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.